It's a pleasure to be in front of so many distinguished guests, and thanks to the organizers for putting this all together. I'm actually an American entrepreneur who's been starting businesses for the last 15 years across many different industries and sectors. After my last startup was acquired in the end of 2017, I took a break to move to Asia and explore opportunities in emerging markets. I was infatuated by this opportunity for FinTech to make an outsized impact in a developing country. Now, I'm building a FinTech here in Pakistan, and our aim is to distill the complexities of banking into something that's so simple that anybody with a smartphone can use it. So I'd like to start with a potentially scary topic. I don't have a clicker, so I'll announce the slides. Where I come from, in the United States, the country is experiencing the worst inflation we've seen in the last 40 years. And seeing as the US dollar is the reserve currency of the world, does that potentially spell trouble for emerging markets like Pakistan? But the good thing is that that technology is actually deflationary. Innovation is deflationary. Technology brings a good kind of deflation. It reduces production costs and lowers prices. Unlike inflation, deflation concentrates the money supply within an economy. It boosts purchasing power and wages while making life better for all of us. For every dollar that you put into innovation, you get back maybe $4, $5, or $6 in more jobs, a better talent pool, increased productivity, and a better standard of living. In the United States, venture capital-backed startups account for 76% of public market cap of companies started since 1995. We're seeing that the main driver of sustained economic growth is innovation. In the last year, as we've seen, innovation has taken a spotlight here in Pakistan. This year, there's been more funding than the last 6 combined. So I think, next, it's perfect timing for Pakistan. We've seen massive secular shifts, which Mr. Chris has also highlighted. You have this huge population of young people. Everybody's using smartphones, a massive middle class, and especially since COVID, you have this increased preference for digital transactions. So lastly, I think there's also an important improvement in the regulatory environment, and I've seen this firsthand, working with the State Bank of Pakistan for the last 3 years on new regulations. So as you might tell, I'm most excited about FinTech. In Pakistan, a country of 220 million people, there's only about 36 million unique bank accounts. Of those 36 million, only about 9 million are actually connected to the internet for online or mobile banking. So you could see a huge opportunity when you have 100 million people using smartphones, and by 2025, 170 million. Globally, FinTech is receiving an outstanding amount of investment, and it's not slowing down. This year, we'll probably see about $140 billion go into FinTech. This is accelerating because now you can deliver financial services potentially for free to anybody with a smartphone. As an example, at SadaPay, we can deliver financial services at a cost that's 20 times less than the traditional banks. So we can actually deliver financial services for free. We've removed the cost of branches, of thousands of people to sit in them, to push paper around. We use modern technology, and we can pass those cost savings on to customers. I would think FinTech is maybe most impactful in emerging markets. So you have a lot of second-order effects of an economy that is connected for digital payments. When you have the digitization of businesses, your economic growth accelerates. Then you have the documentation of transactions, and access to credit increases productivity and output. Then you have increased discretionary income. And lastly, your exports grow because now your internet-connected economy is globalizing. So to me, I actually find freelancers to be most interesting. I think freelancers become entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs create jobs. You have millions of people in Pakistan who are graduating with skills that are exportable. You don't necessarily just have to be a programmer or a graphics designer to work as a freelancer. You can be a writer, an accountant, a lawyer, a researcher, all of these jobs are exportable. You have people who are locally struggling to go around and find a job that pays in rupees. But actually, I can go on the internet now, and I can work for a company that pays in dollars, and euros, or pounds. I also think it's an equalizer for the empowerment of women. So these freelancers, I think, they end up doing well. They get too much business, and then they hire their friends and start a small firm. Like Chris said, the best ecosystems are built from the bottom up. So what does that mean for policy and regulation? I think the State Bank of Pakistan is doing really well, but they need the support of NADRA, FBR, and the ministries. There's actually a national freelancer facilitation policy that's in the works by the Ministry of IT. And it's really important because it brings light to the great work that freelancers are doing. Before, freelancers weren't really seen as having a real job. It was part-time. Banks didn't even recognize it. So this policy actually brings a number of benefits to freelancers, but my favorite is the extension of their tax holiday for freelancing in the IT outsourcing sector. They want to bring it out to 2030. I think there's an important learning from a company called Braintree. I was actually a customer of Braintree many years ago with one of my old startups. And they are an internet payment gateway that was acquired by PayPal. Braintree did something really interesting where they gave processing away for free to new entrepreneurs who were starting a new online business, and your first $50,000 of volume that you processed was free. They didn't charge you anything. And when merchants tried Braintree, there was no friction to try Braintree because you didn't have to pay anything. So because there was no friction, you had these merchants try it, they loved it, and they stuck with it. Braintree became one of the fastest growing payment processing platforms in the world. Eventually, PayPal acquired them for almost $1 billion. But how is that relevant? So in Pakistan, I think small business owners prefer cash because it's free to hand a rupee to someone rather than to send a digital transaction. But also, small businesses don't want to be documented. They don't want to pay tax. So what can we learn from Braintree? What if we gave these small businesses a tax holiday, similar to what we've already done for freelancers in the IT outsourcing sector? What if small businesses were not exposed to the tax up to 5 million rupees, 1 million rupees, 10 million rupees? Whatever the small business process is, there's some threshold where we don't charge tax. I think those merchants will have less friction when it comes to the adoption of digital payments. And the digitization will drastically improve the outcome for millions of small businesses. I think these small businesses are the backbone of Pakistan. 80% of non-agricultural employment comes from these small businesses. So I came to Pakistan because I saw these secular shifts, all of these trends, all going in the right direction. And I got really excited because the Pakistanis who I met were some of the most passionate people I've ever met. These Pakistanis are extremely patriotic. They're really proud of their country. And I hope this Margalla Dialogue will inspire passion in all of you to empower the innovation for Pakistan. Thanks so much.